Well. Good morning, West Ham fans. Good Friday morning, West Ham fans. Good Friday. An extra day off for us, which is nice, and a long weekend with the Easter Monday as well. Unfortunately, West Ham's in the middle, got to ruin it potentially for us. But obviously, we're in a position now where we've got the next 6 games, 3 home, 3 away, and the end of the season is upon us over the hill a little bit. 6 more games, but then we can hopefully look at what we're going to be doing in the summer. We spoke about yesterday. Obviously, it was covered in the Graham Potter press conference. I think a little bit of kidmanship in terms of Potter maybe underplaying our activity over the summer. Makes perfect sense. It's the same as when someone says, "Do you know how much money? How much money you've got to spend?" And they go, "Oh, we got no money." So I read all that in with a grain of salt, a big pinch of grain of salt, or whatever it is. But what I thought I'd have a look at these next 6 games, because I think there's a real opportunity here to obviously build momentum going into the summer, and to get a few points really, and to get some of the fan base back on board. And to get a bit of a good feeling with the club going into the summer, because that's the type of thing that potential players will look at. Look at social media, look at sort of fan sentiment, see how the fan base are feeling about the club as well. Because you don't want to play for a club which is, the fans are spitting feathers, or not spitting feathers when you're thirsty, spitting bile on social media about their current team. And it only takes a couple of wins, I think, to get people on board in all essence, and get people on the old Potter train, so to speak. But and that's really interesting. Like yesterday, I did a sort of a rant about, not a rant, but sort of asking people's opinions about Potter in terms of, assuming this is a pre-season, how many games into next season would you give them? And there's a whole varying array. One size does not fit all. That is for sure. Despite what some people said in the comments, not everyone thinks the same, which is great. Otherwise, it'll be bloody boring. So let's look at the next 6 games. And again, I'd love to get your opinion and get your thoughts in terms of, again, I'm coming from a half glass full type perspective, but I genuinely believe, when you look to these sort of run of games a year, when was it? It would have been 10 months ago, something like that. You'd have thought 3 of those are really tricky and 3 of those are going to be quite easy. I'm going to suggest that actually it's a complete role reversal now, because two of the last 6 sides we're playing, well, one's already down and one will be down, and one could potentially be playing for Champions League. Actually, well, 3 of them could be potentially playing for Champions League football, but 1 via the league and 2 via the Europa League. And our perception is very changed. When I if I look to the result, look at the fixtures at the beginning of the, in June when they were released, I thought Southampton, Forest, and Ipswich were winnable games, and Spurs, Brighton, Man United were going to be really tricky. But actually, I think now the likes of Southampton, the likes of Ipswich are going to be playing without any fear, really, because Ipswich will be down by then, I would assume, and Southampton have nothing to play for, really. So that can be quite a dangerous beast, particularly when the others have stuff to play for. I fully expect us to win tomorrow. Fully expect us to win tomorrow. Whether it's a 1-0 or a 4-0, 5-0, I think it's supposed to be a 1-0, but you never know. You never know, which is why we all support West Ham. We never know. So I put that down for a win. That's a win. That's a win for me. Then we move on to the Brighton game. Now, Brighton are a strange side now. Their form's completely dipped. They had a great run, and now it's fallen off a cliff, really, in terms of where they are at the moment. Beginning of the season, I thought they were looking strong. They're 10th now. I thought I always thought for some reason Brighton was still 7th or 8th, sort of in that European places. I mean, it's tight between 8th and 10th at the moment, but I fancy us more away from home than at home, just the way we set up in terms of sort of the game plan A. It's more defensive and it's more sort of goes hand in hand with playing away rather than at home. Where I think at home you want to be more on the front foot, but away you see opposition tends to be on the front foot. I don't think we'll win. I think we'll get a draw there. And again, it's one of those places where I think anything can happen with Brighton. And as I said, we'll see how they are. I mean, they've won one in the last 5 in the Premier League. Could even lose that one, I'll be honest. I wouldn't be surprised. Brighton are always a typically hard place to go to. Then we play Spurs. Now, after yesterday beating a poor Eintracht Frankfurt side than we played for sure in the Europa League final, semi-finals. Now they've qualified for the Europa League now, semi-finals, and the semi-finals are going to be playing on the first. I think it's the 1st and 8th of May. So our game with Spurs falls right in between the two of them. That'll be moved. I think it's a Saturday originally. That's going to be moved to the Sunday because of the Europa semi-final. So, and I think they might be at home that first leg. I'm pretty sure they are. And this is why I think the sort of the 2 English clubs getting through actually helps West Ham, because both sides will be playing pretty much in the midst of those semi-finals. So yeah, Spurs is going to be the home tie is going to be in. Is that right? Yeah. Spurs' home leg will be on the Thursday the 1st. So, they'll be playing Thursday and then playing us on the Sunday. And I think we're going to win. I think, because they'll still be in the midst and they'll be playing the second leg the week after. So it won't be a strong side from Spurs. And I think they will be similar to Man United. I think they will throw everything at this in the same way that when we won the Europa Conference League. I don't know if we mentioned that we won the Europa Conference League. Obviously, Josh can do it. Hashtag just saying. But with that, when we get into the latter stages, the league was mere. It was all about Europe. And, for both clubs, winning the Europa League would, I think, save both clubs' managers / head coaches. I think as soon as Spurs get knocked out of semis, Ange's gone in the summer, and I think it's potentially maybe Amorim, maybe slightly less so with Amorim. And their comeback, yes, that was brilliant. I mean, it was a great game to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Not many sides can go to Lyon and keep a clean sheet and win 3-0. But it was an absolutely cracking game at United. It was a really good game. I love those types of. I'm a bit jealous of it because I remember those European nights, because I love those European nights. And maybe next season we can qualify for Europe and get back into those, even those Thursday nights. God, I miss them. But I think we're going to beat Spurs. I just think we are. I think their heads turned. They think they're not going to do fuck all in the league. There's this 6 game. It's all about the Europa semi-finals for them now. And same to Man United. So then we play Man United next, and basically it'll be on the following Sunday away at Old Trafford. And they would have just played the second leg as well. That would have been on the Thursday. They would played, and again they would have played Athletic Club. They play Athletic Club. I think they are, aren't they? I think they are. And they're playing them on Old Trafford on the Thursday, and they play us on the Sunday. I think based on that result, I think if they go through, they might be riding on the crest of a wave, and then it might be quite a tricky. It's like, I think whoever they play this weekend, I can't remember who Man United playing this weekend, they'll be running on that sort of crest of a wave. But I still think we can get a draw at Old Trafford. In a similar way, if it was a game like last night and they were absolutely run ragged by the end in extra time and stuff like that, yeah, they might be a bit tired when the older hammers turn up. Forest then, last home game of the season. Forest will be, riding high. They're going for the Champions League. I mean, it could. I mean, they could be. They could be at the what's name by then. They could be if they're in the FA Cup final because obviously they're in the semis. That would then be moved to sort of the Tuesday, Wednesday, I think before. If they're not, then it'll be on the Saturday. Mm. Again, this one I think we'll have to revisit this as these last few games based on where the other teams go. I don't think we'll win. I think Forest are still particularly if it's a semi, if they're through. If it's midweek, we might have a better chance. Maybe under the lights, last game of the season, bit different. They've got Wembley on there, but then to be honest, we played Newcastle, didn't we? And we never took advantage of that the week before they played in the final. So I think a draw could be a sensible result there. And then we play Ipswich last game of season. And to be honest, it's the last game of season. It's craziness. Ipswich's last game in the Premier League for at least a season. They'll want to go sign off all guns blazing. Whether we do the same, I don't know. I think it'll end up being a draw. It's one of those. It's last game of the season. We're away from home. Anything can happen. So realistically, we could get a situation we might not lose a game for the rest of the season. Now, I don't think it's potentially the Brighton game. I think, or the United game, based on how they're performing. As soon as Europa League, they get knocked out of the semis. If they get to the final, great. If they got up to the semis, the season's over for them. And similarly, if United don't win that second leg and they get knocked out, their heads will be down. We could take advantage of that. We could. Whether we would is the thing. It's all if, buts, and maybes. As I said, it's going to be the new motto at West Ham. But what do you think about those last 6 games? Copy. There's the list there. Just put your predictions in there. I'll be fascinated to know what you think. And obviously, this is going to be changing. We still got a month left of the season. Things change. We've still got a lot of semi-finals happening. As you said, Spurs and United are through to the semis of the Europa League. Nottingham Forest through to they could easily get to the final of the FA Cup potentially, and still chasing for a Champions League spot as well, which is crazy. Whereas the likes of Southampton, Ipswich, both of them aren't playing for anything apart from pride, and will be playing with no fear really because they're down. So you get a few freak results towards the end of the season, but maybe we can capitalise on that, get a bit of momentum, get a bit of good feeling, get a bit of good spirit amongst the fan base going into the summer, which, as we said, is going to be pretty busy. Despite what Potter said last week, he said it's going to be a very exciting transfer window. So he's been lying one week or the other, but I think it is going to be an exciting one. He's downplayed it because maybe he thought, maybe I went a bit too close to the bone last week. Anyway, that's me done. Have a great Good Friday. Eat plenty of hot cross buns and Easter eggs and all that good stuff. And we'll see you. If I don't see you later on today, tomorrow we'll have Stat Attack. We'll have Match Day Mornings from outside the ground. We'll have Starting 11 show, and we'll have the review show after the game as well. If you're going to the game, good luck, because I'm doing the full production behind the scenes anyway, so I'm very excited. 1 game promotion after 25 years. I'll be pitch side for once, which would be nice, rather than my little box. But anyway, take care, everyone. Stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, and come on, you bloody Irons.